tankers, and welcome back to another of my videos. Today we are going to be talking about the Tier 8 heavy tank, the WZ-112-2. And later on we will talk about, is this tank worth it? And it is a crate tank, which is a huge bummer. I do think that Wargaming should not have made it a crate tank. They're just wasting your money now. That's the only issue. It's a bit of a gamble. Should I spend $50? I don't know. Am I going to get it? Yes, no, maybe. Beginning of this game, I was not paying attention. I was messaging the guy against me. He wanted to know about this vehicle. I have been getting a lot of questions about this vehicle. So that is one thing, that if you do buy one, be prepared to answer a lot of questions about this vehicle. To be honest, I think it's an okay vehicle. It's not anything super special to where it's not like a Scorpion. It's not like you're not going to be doing any special damage, any more damage than you're doing in a Glacial, any more than you're doing in an IS-5. It's got the same gun. I'll bring up the stats and I'll put them on the side real quick so that you guys can see it compared to an IS-5. But you'll see pretty much all the stats are the same. One big downfall, though, for this vehicle is that the shell velocity is around 900. I think it's 970, which is a big pain because when you're shooting at vehicles on the run, light tanks, you do have to lead your shells a little bit more, which is a bit of an annoyance. But I do like the super strong armor on this tank. I will bring up the armor inspector so you can take a look at it. But as you can see, the upper plate is about 260, which is very, very nice. I do like that. It's able to bounce shots, and since it is not a pike nose design, you can angle it and bring it up to like 280, 270, so it is very good in that aspect. Another thing is that the lower plate on this vehicle is my huge selling point for it. The lower plate is about 200 thick if you were to angle this vehicle at a pretty good angle. And the reason it's so good is because Tier 7s, they can't really pen you. If you don't know what this vehicle is and you're going against it and you don't load your premium ammo, you'll bounce your first shell and it'll snap you right back. So I do like how strong the lower plate is, but because of that, the upper plate is a little bit weaker than the Glacial. Glacial is like 280, 290. This is 260, so it is a bit of a difference. Will say do not expect to bounce any shells from any tank destroyers, really. You're not going to bounce any. The side armor on this tank is very nice. It's 204 with spaced armor, which is really strong. So you're able to side scrape this vehicle and get those really trollish bounces when people are trying to shoot at your side, which is really nice. But you can see when I shot the T-54, the aiming time is a bit of a stretch. It's around 6 seconds, I think, 5.6. So it is a bit of a pain when you have to keep on aiming in. But I will say one thing, this is probably the best face-hugging tank in World of Tanks Blitzes right now for a Tier 8 premium. Or Tier 8 at all, because as you can see, since the turret is so close to the front of the tank, you are able to actually pretty much just shove your turret right into the enemy's face and they can't actually see your hull, which is a huge advantage. And since you have a very trollish turret too, you can bounce 80%, 90% of the shells that are being fired at you with relative ease. One big advantage I will say this vehicle has over the IS-5 is the turret traverse speed. It turns very quick. I'll go check, but it can pretty much, if you're dealing with two enemies at one time, it'll turn quick enough to snap one person and then turn back before that person can even reload. The turret rotation is 0.25, and the IS-5's is 0.26, so it is quicker than the IS-5, and I do like that. You can see it turning in this game, and it's just really quick. The dispersion while turning the turret isn't terrible. It is better than the IS-5, which is nice. I do like that. And the mobility is fairly good. It says it's the same speed as an IS-5, but do not get tricked by that. It actually, on the soft stats, which World of Tanks does not show you, if you were to go check on Blitz stars, the terrain resistance and power to weight ratio is worse than the IS-5. So going uphill, going straight, the IS-5 will accelerate much quicker and stay at top speed way easier than this tank can. But really, the speed isn't much of an issue for me. And one thing that this tank has over the IS-5 is 6 degrees of gun depression compared to the IS-5's 5, so it is a big help there. But you can see that that terrible 0.39 dispersion just completely misses that M103 and hits him in the mantlet. But with some luck, we will be able to slam the other shell into him. You can see, though, I'm not very aggressive in this vehicle, just because it has a lower bit of hit points than most tier 8s. It has 1450. I think the IS-3 has 1600, 1500, so it's a bit lower on hit points, but since the armor is so good, it's not bad. This, in my opinion, is a great tournament tank and will be. Just because the armor is so strong on it. You know, mediums won't be able to penetrate you in the side. You're not going to have to worry about tank destroyers HEing you through your spaced armor. T-49 will pretty much automatically bounce your side. He'll have to shoot HE at you. You can be quite dominant in this vehicle. But you have to remember that when people load heat and premium ammo, it will really easily go through your upper plate, and your lower plate by then is just here. You know, it's just an automatic pen. But one nice thing is that when people do load heat on you and try to pen your upper plate, if you do manage to get a little tricky angle on them, you can actually make them hit your spaced armor on the side and just completely dissolve that heat shell away, which is very nice. You have seen, I do like this vehicle. I've been having great games in it. I find it more enjoyable than an IS-5. I really don't like the pike nose design, as I've talked about before, on the Russian tanks, as it's much harder to pull around a corner with the pike nose design, because when you pull around the corner, your armor is at the weakest spot where you can pen it easily, you know, being 120 thick, 140. This vehicle, when you pull around a corner, it is the strongest, probably most strongest point, because you're at that, you know, 30-40 degree angle, which is just super nice. And you can see this vehicle does earn tons of credits, which I do like a lot. Credits are a big thing for premium vehicles. There's no point to buy a premium vehicle if it doesn't earn credits and it's not overpowered. And this vehicle by no means is overpowered. It's just like any other Russian heavy. You know, it's got all the same stats, all the same damage. The gun's identical. The armor's pretty similar to a glacial. A little bit better in my opinion, just because it's more well-rounded. To be honest, if I had my choice, I would choose this tank over any of the Chinese heavy tanks or Russian heavy tanks that are similar to this, just because of the unique design, and it actually does get 6 degrees gun depression, which is very nice. I do like that you're able to be a little more lenient with your flexibility. Damage per minute's okay. You're not going to be taking out anybody that quickly. But I do like that this vehicle is just different. You know, it looks different than the rest of the vehicles in the game right now, which I like. I like the camouflage. I like the attachment. I don't think the attachment camouflage are overpriced. It's like 2,000 gold in total for both. To be honest, should you buy this vehicle? Is that the big question? I really don't think it's a terrible vehicle to buy. Even though it's in crates and it's, Wargaming being, jerks to us, making us spend our money, our hard-earned money on these vehicles, and they're just toying with us saying, haha, try again, you might get it this time. I really don't think this vehicle is a terrible option to try and get. If you spend, if you were to spend about $50, you have over a 50% chance to get the vehicle. So it's not terrible, and not to mention, I got this vehicle on my third container out of 12. And I also got 100,000 free experience, some credits, and about, I'd say, 200 boosters in total. So really, I did get a lot out of the money I spent, which I'm not actually mad at all about. Normally I'll buy some of these vehicles and I'll have some buyer's remorse. But this vehicle, I'm not really getting any buyer's remorse on as of right now. I know multiple people that have gotten this vehicle fairly cheap, within $50. Don't spend anything over $50 though. If you don't get it, don't fall into Wargaming's hands. Don't do what they want you to do. They want you to spend more money if you don't get it, because they want you to feel like, well, if I spend another $50, I must surely get it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. If you just don't spend anything more than $50. Sorry about my Discord. One of my servers must be going crazy. Yeah. But this vehicle, I would say if you're gonna go for it, get the 12 crates and then get the the $5 bundle. That gives you an extra crate for free. It's like a one-time offer thing. I'd do that. I'd first do the 12 crates, and then if you don't get it with that, then spend $5 and try to get it then. Because, as I've said, this vehicle earns great credits. You can see that shell velocity did affect me on that 54 lightweight. But it does earn great credits, and right now I put myself in a Colabano situation. This T-32 makes a really bad mistake driving off that hill alone. One thing you never want to do is go alone one at a time against a vehicle. This 54 lightweight came in the help, but the problem is now for me is that I've got two vehicles spamming shells on me, and isn't really going too well. T-32 over angles though, and I have 98 health left. This lightweight has the reload on me, and I'm pretty sure he knows that. Pulls out, and as you can see, he bounces off the 200mm thick side armor with an APCR round. So you can see that this tank side armor is so strong. Right now, though, I could pretty much hear my own heartbeat beating inside of me, because, Colabanos, I was praying that I would get the mastery if I were to win this. I've just done so much this game. I've only got 2 APCR rounds left. Shot 15 shells, blocked 1600 damage. This is the ideal game you want to get. And this was only my second game in the vehicle. This is by far one of the best games I've played in a while in some sort of tank like this, Russian, glacial-ish tank, IS-5. I really do like this vehicle. I like the camouflage. I like everything about it. I wish the accuracy was a little bit better, but hey, it has nice penetration, so it does make up for it. And that turret speed, as you can see, is super good. Always make sure to aim in your shells, though. So, ending on a high note, which hasn't been, I haven't actually been on a high note in a while. If you were debating whether to try and get this or buy um, the Chrysler, go for this. The Chrysler is just a piece of crap. It sucks in every single scenario. It has no penetration. It has armor and it is fast, but if you don't have penetration, you really can't shoot the enemy, and they'll just load heat and pen right through you because that vehicle does not have spaced armor on the sides. Um, I really just love the look of this vehicle. And one nice thing is that when you do pull around a corner in this vehicle, since as you can see the turret is pretty much on the front of the tank, like the gun barrel is sticking out of the edge of the tank, you can pull around a corner and barely show any of your hull and slam a shell into somebody and back up. It actually backs up very quick at 20 degrees a second, so I do like this tank. Not 20 degrees a second, 20 kilometers an hour. I would say go for it. It's nice looking, going to be great in tournaments. It's an all-round great tank. Yeah, good luck out there on those crates if you do go for it. I will see you guys in my next video, though.